Well, here's some instant karma. The Republican governor of Georgia, who said that he was supporting Donald Trump in the 2024 election for business reasons. He thinks Trump would be good for business. Of course, I'm talking about Brian Kemp. Well, he just got handed some instant karma when the Trump administration denied necessary FEMA aid to Georgia that former President Biden was providing to the state of Georgia. Let me just show you the letter that Brian Kemp received from Donald Trump's FEMA as Trump's trying to gut FEMA. This is in response to your January 24th, 2025 request for an extension to the cost share waiver under major disaster FEMA-4830-DR that was declared on September 30th, 2024 due to Hurricane Helene. So it's an extension of what Biden agreed to immediately. You specifically requested an extension of the 100% federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance to 180 days. And you reiterated your request for an increase in the federal cost share for permanent work to 90%. Based on our review of all of the information available, it has been determined that the increased level of funding you have requested for major disaster FEMA-4830-DR is not warranted. Therefore, I must inform you that your request for an extension of the period of 100% federal funding for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance to 180 days, is denied. Governor Kemp was requesting an extension of what Biden provided for debris removal, help from the federal government, and Donald Trump said, here's my middle finger, go F yourself, to all of the people of Georgia.
I just spoke, the president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
Well,
it is. Oh, gosh. My mic wasn't even on. I'm just yapping away. But welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known with Nee and Nielle. Nielle rocking the shades again and the nice hair. I gotta start spiffing myself up a little bit.
I have to see. These are essential.
They're essential?
Yeah, they're essential.
Good
morning, everybody.
I know. In other words, stop bothering me.
No.
But first and foremost, we have a exciting guest this morning. Of course, we're looking forward to that at the top of the hour, I believe, and so that should be lots of fun and informative. I should say.
Yeah, moving into technology and where Black Americans fit in this space, not just as consumers and users, but also in building wealth and equity in it. So it'll be interesting to talk to our guests. We're not going to tell you who it is, but you'll definitely want to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely. And that video, it was the interesting part of that video, other than Trump, as the guy mentioned, giving Georgia and Kemp the middle finger. We saw Kemp back in September saying that the president, he missed the president's call. He called him right back. That president, just so we are clear, he was talking about Joe Biden, because Joe Biden was president at the time. And what's interesting, I remember that so well when they tried to spin this, and kudos to Brian Kemp for setting the record straight, even though it seemed like he was going along with it for at least a split second. They tried to spin it as Biden wasn't reachable, when it was Biden reaching out to Georgia during their disaster. And the other thing he said, which was interesting, was that Biden had told him, he said, the president said that whatever you need. Now he's got, and Brian Kemp is a Republican, for those who don't know, and now he's got his guy in office who's, as the guy said in the video, giving him the middle finger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of FAFO going around, with this Trump administration. And I think that people that supported him are truly finding out what they voted for. They told us what they were going to do, but I don't know what they were thinking. That's happening to the governor of Georgia, but how about all of the federal workers? 15,000 that's supposed to be laid off this week,
And
over the weekend. Over the
yeah,
weekend, he got rid of 12 immigration judges. It's a lot going
isn't that
on.
something?
Mhm.
And when
Mhm.
so here's the thing, the federal workers, judges, these are positions that are supposed to be safe positions. They're supposed to be, the idea has always been you get a good government job and they can't just remove you without cause. And, it's very difficult to fire a government employee. And a judge, it's extremely difficult to replace a judge. So you see in something here that, again, I know here the black press, let it be known for sure, we was one of those or among those warning folks that this dictatorship was coming if they
Mhm.
allowed this man to get into office. And this
Right.
is what it is. You don't get rid of federal employees like that. You don't get rid of judges for sure. I don't care what kind of judge you are. It is very difficult to remove a judge from the bench
Right, right, right. And
normally.
another headline coming out of NBC News: Trump administration wants to unfire. They fired him last week. Unfire nuclear safety workers, but can't figure out how to reach them.
See, it's such a clown show as well. It's a dangerous one, but it's a clown show.
Yeah, because it says the workers who agency oversees the nation's nuclear stockpile just fired him. Didn't even consider, just chop, chop, chop. And now we're at risk.
And I tell you what, we've been talking about the fast against Target, the NMPA's um, situation with Target and what they're doing about it. Um, we really, and I know it's on the list, but Amazon has to go. Amazon has to go. And I say that because um once again, Jeff Bezos and all his billions of dollars. I've never seen when you reach like Kanye West's problem was that he was worth $1 billion something dollars and he got cocky about it, whatever. But I've never seen a true billionaire like Jeff Bezos uh just have no uh, oh gosh, no cojones whatsoever, no type of backbone.
Mhm.
The Washington Post refused to run an ad. Remember they refused to run the endorsement. Bezos made them not run an endorsement for Vice President Kamala Harris last year, and
Mhm.
now they refused to run an ad in which they're calling for the termination, the removal of this South African looter, Elon Musk, from the government. He's looting all of your money and information. And so the Post wanted to run an ad, I guess. And of course, Elon says, no, we're not doing it. Not Elon. Bezos said, we're not doing that. We're not running that ad.
Yeah, they the whoever the organization that they bought the ad, it was $115,000. $115,000, and they pulled the ad. But I think this speaks to what we saw on Inauguration Day when you saw all of those technology giants. You see Google, they've been quiet. They haven't been out front like Bezos and Zuckerberg and Elon. But we know last week or they pulled Black History from Google. They pulled Black History. They changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. So all of these technology um, entities are kissing the ring. And so our guest
Mhm.
coming up, at the top of the hour, like Stacey said, is an alternative. And it's for us by us, Black owned. It's a app called Fanbase, owned by who, Stacey?
Isaac Hayes the third.
Yeah. And so I think these are things
The
like
son
this.
of Shaft.
Hey, and he was bold enough to sue Donald Trump to stop Donald Trump from using his father's song, and he won.
So Dr. Nicole says, Niall, is it in the case of Bezos, is it really fear or complicity? Or both? Isn't it both?
Yeah, I think it's both. And I think, it's power and money and access. You know what I'm saying? It's how he can grow his business. They're all in it for power and money. And so this sets up rules and regulations because we have to remember technology is a new concept in America. It's not that old. Us having cell phones and us having these apps and stuff, it's really not that old. And there's no regulation. Like for television, we have the FCC, right? For food and drugs, we have FDA. For stock, we have SEC. Technology has no oversight.
Right.
And that's where we are in America right now. And so you see all of these big technology companies wanting access because they know the day is coming to where there's going to have to be some rules and regulations. And what better way for them to control it is for them to do it themselves. And that's what's happening. Elon Musk, for
Uh,
example.
And speaking of this dictatorship, I know again there are some people who push back against that strong term, but if the shoe fits, look, we got to call a spade, as they say. And this is what this has become quickly. It was no, remember he said on day one he would be a dictator on day one, and
Hmm.
he tried to spin it just a little bit, but that I'm only me, just for one day. You knew it wasn't for one day. You had
Hmm.
to know it. But here we go. So the administration now over the weekend launched a full-scale and very racist assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion in education. They have said that they are stripping all federal funding from schools that offer race conscious programs, scholarships, and student resources.
Hmm.
Um, they said, this is a quote from the so-called Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights. They said that white and Asian students have been discriminated against for far too long, and they are now doing something about it. Um, Imagine that. White and Asian students have been discriminated for far too long, is what Craig Trainer, who is the acting assistant secretary for civil rights in the Department of Education, said. And he wrote this whole Dear Colleague letter explaining in a wild way and in a very unfactual way that the 2023 Supreme Court ruling in Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard, the affirmative action case, he says that decision means that they have to get rid of all funding, scholarships, etc. that uh, even appears. It's not just race based, but if it appears race based, this is horrendous stuff.
I mean, I just go back to thinking it's not surprising because they never wanted us to read and write. Think about it.
100%.
They've never wanted us to be educated. And so I would be interested. Last week I thought the White House Black History program was last week, but it's actually
They
this week.
changed it to the 20th, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I wasn't crazy. So it's this week. And I've actually talked to a couple of Black Republicans that are going to be attended, and they're just as happy as a cherry pie, or happy as Miss Minnie's pie from the Help. Okay, they just happy. But I would be interested to the point in seeing how many HBCU presidents attend that Black History program, because what's on the chopping block is Black scholarships,
Yep,
federal funding, okay,
yep.
diversity programs, Schools may be forced to erase programs that support Black students, like you're saying. And
Graduation ceremonies, student housing, segregation, y'all.
come on.
Student
And
housing.
so it's going to be interesting to see how I just with this happening, I'm just it's just interesting to me to see what it looks like at the White House on Wednesday at that Black History program.
Listen, I April Ryan sent me a thing, and I'm not sure if she's asking me to go, but again, once again, it's not something that even as a journalist I'm interested in. It's just to me to show up there, and I know folks got to do their jobs.
Hmm.
But to show up there to me, I feel like I'd be no different than Byron Donalds or Jeff Bezos. I mean, Byron Donalds or what's the other one?
Tim
Tim
Scott.
Scott, yeah, or Clarence Thomas. I just can't imagine. I don't. I'm going to be honest with you on here live. I don't even want to go to the White House anymore.
Oh, for
It's,
sure. For
it's
sure.
we
Um,
spent a lot of time there under the last administration. I spent some time there under Trump's first administration.
mhm.
But there's something obvious about this particular administration. You just don't want to be near.
Yeah, I'm pretty torn on that though. Because in order to change the system, sometimes you have to be a part of the system. And so to be able to go there and report from a Black perspective about what's really going on,
Yeah.
because it's important, because we know mainstream media is going to stroke it like it's 31 flavors ice cream, the best scoop ever. You know what I'm saying? And it's contrary. No, he's not really after Black people, but everything that we're talking about
Mhm.
disenfranchises and, suppresses Black folks, people of color. And so to go in there with the mindset that we have, I think it's important. I think we want to know. We want to know what's really happening. And that's what I'm saying. I still talk to Black Trumpsters because I want to have real conversations to
Mhm.
understand, like, okay, now we almost 30, 60 days in, you still feel the way you feel.
Right,
And
right.
if you do, why? What about
Why?
us? And so I think it's important to keep these dialogues open, because you never know when you're going to need a tournament. They're going to turn into a spy and give us what we need. So keep the
And there
communication
you go.
open.
And so I'm grateful that we have the dean of all White House correspondents with the Black press now. So April's there and
For
she's
sure. So
battle tested.
important.
And so my role in the White House is greatly diminished. Um and no, and I say that not in any, no one said your role is I'm saying my role. It's in other words, I can concentrate on other things that needs to be like we're talking about this morning, Isaac Hayes and stuff like that. These are things that we can uh having someone like April means that yes, we're in a position where we don't have to miss other important things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was really excited to, be a part of Let It Be Known in the Black press. Specifically when I found out that, April Ryan had come aboard to be a part of the team, because she has so much legitimacy within those White House walls. And to be able to for her to come and tell the stories in such a Black centered space, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes we work for Black companies, but they're not really Black owned. I'm not saying that's her space, but to be a part of an organization that's almost 200 years old, that is, if when you go to different states, different cities, and different communities, the Black newspaper is the one thing that Black folks trust the most.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And more so now than it's so interesting how that worked, right? Because we're seeing lots and lots of evidence that folks
Mhm.
are coming back to the Black press. So they have nowhere else to turn.
Right, that is so true.
And we've always been here and always been doing the same thing, speaking truth to power. So we're going to keep that up. But the worship of this dictator continues among the GOP. A New York lawmaker is pushing to make President Trump's birthday a federal holiday. Rep. Claudia Tenney introduced a bill to make June 14th, folks. Think about that. A new federal holiday that would be known as Trump's birthday and Flag Day. And June 14th is Flag Day, by the way. Um, this is out. This is like, yes, we have a dictator, and I'm gonna. This sounds so much like Stalin and Hitler and Saddam and all of the rest. That give me a break. Where does it end? It doesn't end, does it?
You know what this says to me? That they're coming for Juneteenth. Okay. June
100%.
14th, June, they're
Mike V
coming,
just said Trump-teenth. Go ahead.
they're coming for Juneteenth. And this also says to me that for all the Confederate statues that were taken down, you know, all these things are going to rise. We have the John Lewis statue that's been erected. We've had the Emmett Till and so many different. That's what the Pandora's box. It's open when it comes to monuments and statues. Right now, that's what that says to me. Get ready,
Chris,
get ready, get ready.
Chris says it says to her, Kool-Aid has no sugar. Wait a minute. But this clown says that no modern president has been more pivotal for our country than Donald J. Trump. And you know what? She's absolutely right. More pivotal, but not in the way she's thinking or she wants you to believe. Even she knows better. Come on, give me a break.
Right.
Um, Trixie says that he he must have grabbed the representative's crotch. That's terrible. And look, you remember now, Neil, a few weeks ago when he first took office, one of his first acts was pardoning all those January Sixers.
Mhm.
Now, yet another January Sixer is facing trial for another heinous crime.
Right.
This guy called MAGA Lumberjack is being charged with uh, the R word. Do we say the RAPE on the air? And 2023, the trial date has been set. His name is Dylan Harrington. Harrington. He was charged, and this happened, of course, after uh, the insurrection, and this is 2023 is when
Mhm.
this allegedly happened. According to documents, he was indicted by a grand jury. He assaulted a woman who was incapable of consent by reason of being physically helpless or mentally incapacitated. This is your people who the dictator pardoned.
Hillary Clinton was right. They're deplorables. Okay, that's what they are. They're deplorables, and they are a reflection of this administration. And now they have become Donald Trump's Klan members, and they are ready to do whatever whenever he says. So just think about that, people. They're spread out now all across the country. The Trump Klan, they're all out there. They're in the bushes, they in the trailers, they in the backwoods, and at any moment, if he says it's time to go, they're gonna pop off. They already said when they got out, we're going to get some guns. Okay. And then NPR is reporting that January 6th video evidence has disappeared from
Yep.
public access.
Isn't that something? The- and let me touch on this because I see it's been mentioned about protests, and Trixie says there's a protest in New York to remove Adams as mayor. Governor Hochul is
Mhm.
contemplating removing him. We know that. I think that's interesting. Do you think that this will do more harm than good, as far as really, again, it will just ignite more, of these folks who support Trump? This will be seen to them as like, oh, in a way, you're going after Trump. Trump decided to let this guy walk, and you're going after him. You're taking this job. Now he's gonna be more than likely voted out this summer. do you just let that run, let the
I'm
election go, or do you remove them?
Is he? Because now that, and I'm gonna say alleged,
Hmm.
but now that, Elon Musk has found a way
That's
to,
true.
politely and not as intrusively take elections, allegedly, you might be seeing this on a state and local level. Whatever technology is, we're moving into technology with our elections. Donald Trump thanked Elon Musk for, I forget what state it was, with the
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, for the ballot machines. We have Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries pointing out that several states won, governors, state legislators, municipalities. They all were blue, but for some reason, the presidency went to Trump. And so we might start seeing, these elections, going a certain way.
Hmm.
So you just don't know.
Yeah, you again, it plays to my point. I believe, allegedly, that the vice president did in fact get more votes and won that election.
I
But
believe that too.
so
I believe
that's
that
it's
too.
like here we are though.
But
But
to your
mhm.
point, with us even saying that, maybe she does need to do that, because sitting complacent is not getting us anywhere. Being polite is not getting us anywhere. And so somebody has to do something.
Mike V says if Governor Hochul removes Adams, Trump would retaliate by cutting off funding. We are in a civil war.
Hmm.
Um, eh,
Well, let's get
wow.
there now. Why wait? It's coming.
Let's let's get it on. You remember what's his name from The Wire? The character that Idris played um in The Wire. You remember I can't think of his
You
name,
know
but
what? I wasn't a Wire watcher.
okay, so I didn't really watch all of The Wire because it's times just too violent for my blood, but it was just still a great one of the great TV series they've had. But nonetheless, when they were finally gonna kill him, and they stood there and they started talking to him, he was like, "Just get it, let's just get it on, let's get it over.
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
you're gonna kill me, just do it." and so
Right.
string a bell. Yeah, how could I forget? Um, and so that's what you're saying. Let's just go. Let's just
We're there. I am like, I'm so, heartbroken about what's happening to the federal workers. And it's like, who's going to
that's
speak up for
horrible.
them?
Yeah.
Who's going to speak up for them?
Yeah. That is absolutely horrible. You know what we didn't mention? I wanted to get to one other thing before our guest comes, but before I get to that, we did not mention the situation between Jay-Z and Attorney Busby. What a turn of events there. But Jay-Z told you from the start that he was going to bring this attorney down. And now the attorney is saying, he's still claiming that it's ridiculous that Jay-Z now has filed this suit. Good for Jay-Z. Good for Jay-Z, because you cannot. The story against that he brought to court should never have been anybody worth their salt as an attorney. And we know her attorneys, they get bad raps for the most part, and they earn it. Many of them earn it, but you can't, and you shouldn't put it that way, because you can, but you shouldn't destroy someone's character the way this guy tried to destroy Jay-Z's character and life without any shred of evidence whatsoever. And not only that, Neil, with the fact that this young lady's story had more holes than a whole 12 pack of Swiss cheese. It was horrible. And now Jay-Z is not letting it go. And I don't blame him. I think more entertainers need to, if they're innocent, this is the route to take. We saw it with Cardi B and that
Tasha K. Tasha K.
Tasha
Cardi B
K.
and Tasha K.
And people say, oh, she should leave Tasha K alone. Tasha K didn't leave her alone. I'm 1000% behind Cardi B on that one too. And with this one with Jay-Z, and everybody who watches this program know that I am not in any way, shape, or form a Jay-Z fan. But I'm 1000% behind him on this.
I, I mean, I'm not mad at him, and he has two daughters, he has a son. I mean, he wants them to know that he's not the guy that he's been portrayed to be. I think it's a good thing that he's doing that. His daughter goes to school, all her friends are seeing this information. And so now he's giving them another alternative to think about. And I, I'm not mad at him. That's all I'm saying. I'm not mad.
I'm not mad at him either, and I think that I think his name has already been cleared, but he's not stopping, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad at, and but he did say in his statement that this cost him at least $20 million. These false allegations cost him at least $20 million. So good for Jay Z, and even in this case, the the connection with Diddy. Diddy himself is suing for $25 million as well. So when you bring these
Diddy gotta
allegations,
save his money for springtime, okay? Diddy, save your money, okay?
listen, I'm not mad at Diddy. If he listen, you got to fight the ones that you can fight that you know you didn't do anything at all. You got to do it. To me, you got to do it when it's cases like this. You got to. And they were hoping, Busby obviously was hoping that Jay-Z would just write a check. That was that. It was a okay, we're gonna drop this. I think the movie with was it Lion King or whatever was coming out. Something was coming out
Mhm.
when Busby dropped this on Jay-Z in the public, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
Jay-Z said that he dropped it right before his daughter's premiere for Lion King.
yes.
And so, it was embarrassing. And he tried to like force do a shakedown. Like, if
Mhm.
you don't want this to come out and you got your little girl, your wife's premiere, l- you know, here's a lawsuit, bam. And Jay-Z, response was, no, sir. And I'm still gonna go support my wife and my daughter. And I'm gonna stand in my truth and just let the process play out. And it worked for him. Now,
Mm.
another person that we're looking at when we are hoping that they made the right decision is ASAP Rocky, who,
Right.
closing arguments happened
That's
end of
right.
last week, and he was only facing 180 days with the plea deal. And now he faces up to 20 something years in prison if he's convicted.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you talk about rolling the dice.
Right.
Uh, Um,
And he's a Rock
and
Nation artist.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be very interesting to see A, if this jury does reach a verdict, and B, what that verdict will be. Because whew, a guilty verdict would be just crushing in this case.
I know. Rihanna's been showing up to court. Last week, she brought her two kids to court to support. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And you might have a verdict as soon as this week, too.
Yeah, and just to be clear for folks who don't know, this is not a sexual assault case. This is
No.
a an assault case,
Yeah.
man to man thing, um, nothing to do with sexual assault. HBO is going to debut Eyes on the Prize 3. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. The latest chapter of the groundbreaking documentary series that has long served as a definitive account of the fight for racial justice in America is a six-part series executive produced by Dawn Porter, and it will premiere next Tuesday, February 25th, with two episodes airing back to back. All six episodes will be available to stream on Max. It will build on the foundation of Henry Hampton's 1987 documentary, Eyes on the Prize, America's Civil Rights Movement. The new installment includes Reverend Al Sharpton, Dr. Benjamin Chavis of the NMPA, of course. Um, it will include Angela Davis and many others. It explores community activism in the South Bronx and in Philadelphia, and so many other things that this documentary is tackling. So we're going to be looking forward to this. And of course, like as I said, Dr. Chavez is in it. They're going to also explore um, public defenders in Washington, D.C., organizers in South Central Los Angeles, who took on policies that disproportionately targeted Black residents. Maxine Waters is also
Mm.
highlighted in this as well. So, Neil, a big series coming up.
Can't wait to watch it. Eyes on the Prize Part 3. Okay. I need to catch up on parts 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah, right. I said that too because I didn't see 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting, and and the one thing about we folks have talked about Congresswoman Maxine Waters' age, but the thing about her is she truly has been unapologetically Black. She has been talk about for us by us. She has really been for us, and you have to give her props.
Oh, most definitely. She is a legend here in these LA streets. Actually, today is the postponed Kingdom Day parade that we have the largest Kingdom Day parade in the nation here in Los Angeles. And so we usually have it on Dr. King's holiday, but the fires were happening at that time. And
Oh,
so it's
okay.
happening today on President's Day. And so one of the highlights of the parade is to see Maxine. Auntie Maxine, she gets out of the car and she walks in her stiletto heels down Crenshaw Boulevard. Okay. And traditionally, people are on floats or they're in the cars, but she literally gets out the cars and she's going from left to right, shaking hands, kissing babies. And it's just a moment that everybody looks forward to each year for the Kingdom Day Parade.
Yeah, she is, Maxine's always been tough. She's a tough
Hmm.
one, and you can't mess with, Auntie Maxine, as they
You
say.
can't.
RNG says he has family members in the original Eyes on the Prize. Oh,
Hmm.
wow. Nice, nice. He says, "I remember, Mrs. Maxine Waters when she confronted the CIA for selling drugs in Black neighborhoods in the '80s." Auntie
Yeah,
Maxine is
that's kind of the premise of Snowfall.
Oh, is
You
that
know,
right?
Yeah, so that whole scenario was what she exposed with Freeway Rick, the real Freeway Rick or Rick Ross
Oh,
or however you want to put it. But yeah, she was Freeway Rick was during those times, he was the one that went to prison for a long time, but he was working with the CIA. And so that's what John Singleton's Snowfall is loosely based upon.
okay. Wow. Um, Let me ask you a question, and I don't want to go. I don't. We don't have to go deep into this at all. I just wanted to ask you this question because I see it in the chat. Why do people do this? Why do they, especially at a time like we're living in now with the dictator? They
Mhm.
say Democrats haven't done anything for Black people in 60 years. Why? What's the point, Nia? What do you think the point is?
Say that question one more time. I'm sorry. Why do what?
Democrats haven't done anything for Black people in 60 years. This is what a viewer by the screen name Money Green is posting. And I'm asking that only reason I even lift that up is because we tend to get that out of left field too. Like today, it's out of left field. We were talking about Eyes on the Prize, and he's talking about Democrats haven't done anything for Black people in 60 years.
Well, probably
Um,
because we've been talking about Republicans and Trumps and things like that. And I mean, it's a lot of people out there that are disheartened by the Democratic Party, and
mhm.
we
And that's
can't pretend like
understandable,
that's
right?
not real, and it's
Right.
a lot of people who feel like the Democratic Party makes us feel good and they make us run to the polls, but when it comes to return, they might not see it. And I think that's one of the biggest issues. And that's why the Democratic Party is struggling right now because they're trying to find their identity. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, his sentiment. is one of a lot of people that I know. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? Yeah.
yeah, it's true, but also why not ask the follow-up question that David Youngblood asked? What Republicans have done for Black folk?
Yeah, that's a good question. And
So
so the question is it time for a third party? Are people sick and tired of being sick and
sick and
tired
tired.
of Republicans and Democrats? And if
Yeah.
so, what is the alternative?
See, I've always said ever since, and I had a great sixth grade teacher. He could have been if he wanted to a college professor, but he was a sixth grade teacher, and even back then, so many years ago, he would say, "America keeps voting for the lesser of two evils." Um, and I could care less. I listen. I'm not a Democrat, Republican. I could care less about that. But the fact is, when you get up there and say stuff like that to justify a dictatorship, to me, that means that you are like Kanye. You will justify slavery. So you have no voice when you have no voice worth lifting up when you want to justify, as you said at the top of the show, the you how could you not feel for these federal employees? How could you not feel for these college students? Um, Biden and that administration was all about trying to forgive student loans to make life easier. And this administration is about making sure that folks um, are suppressed from higher education, Black folks in particular, um, and making sure that folks are losing their income. Price of eggs we've talked about so much. Price of everything we've talked about um, so much.
Mhm.
And here we are in a dictatorship. And this guy is saying we already have 4 years of Trump. You've not had 4 years of Project 2025, which is upon you. But that's a whole. We've talked about that too. So um, hey, whatever, dude. Today we're joined by Isaac Hayes III, the trailblazing founder of Fanbase, a platform transforming the social media landscape by prioritizing free speech, monetization, and equity. Under Isaac's leadership, Fanbase is quickly becoming a pivotal space for creators, particularly those of color, to earn and express themselves freely. Welcome to Let It Be Known, Isaac Hayes III.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good, doing
Good
good.
morning.
What's going on?
Well, if let's just, I guess we can jump right into it with Fanbase closing its investments round, I guess pretty soon, if you haven't already. How do you envision these community investments shaping the future of social media?
I think it's giving equity opportunity to the individuals that actually make social media platforms successful, right? So I think a lot of times, most of these apps are funded by small groups of individuals, angels, VCs that profit very, very well off the success of a social media app. But with Fanbase, it's giving the opportunity for the everyday individual to sit on the cap table the same way that these VCs and angels would on any other startup. And that creates a twofold opportunity. One, it makes a community of people that really care about the success of the platform. And it speaks to the advocacy, like it speaks to the fact that they can become advocates and people that encourage other people to use the platform and download the platform and actually invest too and bring more investors in. So it's very unique, you know, thing that we've done here, and I'm really
Yeah.
excited about it.
So you're at about 9 million. You've raised about 9 million.
Yeah.
What's your goal for our viewers who don't know? And then I would like for you to talk a little bit about what Fanbase is and how it's competitive with other apps like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
So we're raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund. This is our fourth crowdfunding raise. We've done three previous where I raised 10 million. And this one we're raising the 17 million kind of at one time to be able to scale and build really, really quickly. And so that's the goal. The minimum for anybody to invest in Fanbase is $399. I don't know the totality of people that watch this platform in total, but I'm pretty sure it's more people that's actually left than available to invest in the app. So there's about room for 20,022 more people to invest a minimum of $399. That's not a lot of people, 20,022 people out of 41 million, 48 million Black people in the United States of America, and then the entire population of the country. It's not a lot of room left to do. So I tell people, invest in the platform as soon as you can, become an investor and have equity in the company.
Yeah, Isaac, you gotta use a different voice because you're driving our audience crazy. They're just going nuts over your voice. I see the comments comments in the chat. It's like the quiet storm. But
It's my,
Isaac,
it's my morning
it's
voice.
it's your morning voice.
It's my
Hey,
morning.
we can't hate on it. That's for sure. Fan base, of course, is a major difference to traditional platforms that often suppress or misrepresent marginalized voices. How do you plan to ensure that fan base remains a true platform for free speech as it scales?
Well, I think also I wanted to give a description of what fan base actually is.
Oh
And
yeah, please
then,
do.
yeah,
Please do.
so a fan base is a social media platform, like pretty much every other social media platform that you've grown to know over the last, 15 or so years. But the difference is that, number one, I've kind of combined a lot of functionality into one platform. And I've made it something where we added monetization from day one. So the individual that joins the platform has the opportunity to actually invest and have equity in the platform from the very, very beginning. Oh, yeah, that's Fanbase. That's Fanbase Plus, what you're looking at right there. That's kind of like a version of what YouTube would be. But basically, we have 6 content formats. We have post, stories, live, short form video, which you would call, we call flicks, but they're like TikTok and Reels. We have audio chat rooms like X and Clubhouse. And then we have long form video called Fanbase Plus, which you were just showing, which is like YouTube. And then everybody can have subscribers if they choose. So it's free to download, free to use. It doesn't cost anything to use. You don't have to pay to use the platform. But if you yourself want to start to charge people for content that you make, you have the ability to do that if you want to do so. And the reason why that's so significant is because we're leaning more in toward the gig economy, less with physical jobs and labor of people being DoorDash drivers or Lyft drivers or Instacart drivers. And more people are going to be, content creators as the gig economy. And so I want to prepare that where people are going to transition out of these other jobs, where social media is going to become the new television, where younger people are going to participate in watching programming on their phone, on mobile devices, and they will pay for that content the same way that they pay for Netflix. But it really gives it the ability for users to hone in and get content that they really, really want to see, as opposed to, paying $20 a month for Netflix. You watch 5 shows, but you have access to 50,000. And that's the point. You're really not getting the value for what you pay. So with Fanbase, it's going to allow people to actually hone in on the creators that they want to be to be a part of and be entertained by and subscribe to those people.
Nice. And again, making sure that it remains a true platform for free speech. What's your plan for that?
Well, one, we're a privately held company. And so what I tell all the time is that what really changes the way that platforms operate are 2 things: our advertisers and shareholders. So a lot of the things that we're seeing with DEI in these companies, the pressure is coming from individuals pressuring the shareholders to make those decisions, or the advertisers to make those decisions, right, with these companies. And so that is why you're seeing this DEI pressure, because people have the leverage to give that pressure. Fanbase currently is a privately owned company. I want to keep that Fanbase privately owned for as long as I possibly can. And that's possible through the way that we raise capital and the ability for us to be able to, generate revenue from subscriptions and stuff like that. When it comes to free speech, I think other platforms definitely have an agenda to censor certain voices. I think citizen journalism is extremely valuable. I'm a huge free speech advocate. And what comes with free speech is individuals that may not agree with you as well. So some people that might be conservative, we have to give them the same ability to speak freely that we do everybody else. And that is why, Fanbase is a global platform. We're in 190 countries and territories on iOS and Android. And that's very, very important that everybody has the ability to share that. And that discourse, that conflict creates an amazing opportunity for people to be able to make change and solve their problems and hash out their differences.
Now
Wow.
we see certain things, you kind of touched on it happening in technology, like Mark Zuckerberg, pulling away fact checking. I remember when that first happened, you brought to the attention and forefront after the election when you went and typed in Kamala Harris or Black Voters Matter or women's rights, nothing popped up,
Yeah.
nothing at all. And now we see, their TikTok still may go away, right?
hmm
And so I've been looking at Instagram lately, and it seems like the algorithm is changing. Is that just me, or have you noticed like the algorithm is slightly changing towards TikTok?
Well, I can say this, that these platforms can no longer be trusted. Anytime, um, you know, a company makes a declaration towards an administration, not like a specific administration, not the presidency, but a specific administration, and there's an agenda there. There's an agenda that
Mhm.
makes sure that certain voices are heard, certain conversations are made public. And I think what we're kind of understanding, or what we're failing to understand, is even though we participate and use these platforms, that the overall goal is to push a message of whatever the administration and the people involved in those do that. So the algorithms are changing. It's getting a lot more difficult for just the people that have a voice or an opinion that may differ from what this administration has to get their voice out. So for Fanbase, we serve as that alternative, and this is a long play for us. This is something that will be what we do and how we operate over the next 7 to 10 years to really scale the business, to just be the next generation of social media platforms, which we call the social economy. These algorithms are just designed to generate massive amounts of revenue for the company, not pay the creator, limit your visibility because they don't want you to have the same visibility that they give that they charge for. So why would they let you reach 1 million people if they're about to charge Walmart and Target to run ads on their platform to reach 1 million people? That's just common sense to understand that, but people don't really think about it that way, where it's like, oh yeah, why would they do that? They're not going to do that. So that's why your content only reaches a certain amount of people.
Can you explain though, what is the algorithm? Somebody's asking, like, what is an algorithm?
Well, algorithms are, they are programs that choose what you see, and specifically in social media. I'll say this, specifically in social media, what you see based off an enormous amount of factors, and probably things that you don't even think about, where your data is being pulled from even other sites. So it could be what you watch, what you comment on, what you share, what you look at on other platforms. So what you may be looking at on TikTok may also influence the algorithm that you see on Instagram, because all it is data sets. So they're just pulling these data sets, importing them into this algorithm, and then giving you specifically things based on your behavior. So every action that you make on social media, if you really dig into algorithms, it can be very, very granular. It could be down to a particular type of shoe. So say rather than shoes, it become basketball shoes, and not only basketball shoes, it can be Jordans, and then it can be down to Jordan ones. And so it's really, really specific, because all that information, all the images, all the sounds, all the music, everything, all the text in your captions, in your comments, is helping create the algorithm and feed the algorithm in a way that basically gives you the content that you think that you're looking at.
Oh, um, I have a couple more questions, but before I do, I just wanted to make sure. I think it's only fair that um, a couple of the viewers get their voices heard. Warina still is shouting out from New Orleans, says that first time watching, you sound so much, Isaac, like your dad. She says, I'm 69 years old. He was my favorite artist back in the day. And everyone else is saying the same, pretty much the same thing. Angela Connolly says she's clutching her pearls at your voice. Just wanted to had to lift up a couple of thoughts there. And Mike V says his question is, with the emergence of artificial intelligence, what's your take on the impact of generation AI or Gen AI with fan base in mind?
Well, we use AI now, but we're going to get a lot more into using AI because AI helps us build algorithms. I think that when it comes with regard to social media, reality is going to matter so much more than fiction. So if you notice the things that are so much more popular to watch on television are reality shows or football or things that you don't know what the outcome is, and that's the joy of social media too. It's very, very real. You see people speaking freely, speaking their minds, speaking about things that they, talk about. And so I welcome AI in a responsible form and fashion to what we do because it can really help, really build the platform even faster, even on the back end of the way that we actually code the platform or QA the app, really, monitor the platform and stuff like that. So AI is an amazing tool that's going to help us scale a lot faster. It's really, really good. So I welcome it for sure.
Awesome, awesome. And you recently, and we talked about this on this program last month when you did it. You sparked a conversation about the impact of Black creators withdrawing from conventional social media. What strategic moves, Isaac, should the Black community, in your opinion, consider to leverage their influence in the digital space effectively?
Woo, this is a good one right here. I'm gonna tell you why. The reason, here's the reason why it's a good one, right? Because we often have these conversations about symbolism, but not activism. And I think we get lulled to sleep about really making moves that really can shape and dictate, our future. The reason why fan base exists is it's an infrastructure play, right? And what I mean by that is, unless you own infrastructure, you cannot ever scale massively, create wealth, to the level that these other platforms have. So my idea is rather than us continuing to contribute to these legacy platforms, let's build a new one, give the opportunity for people to have equity in it, and then scale that up, and then let that be the platform that leads the next generation of social media platforms. And so for us, when we stay on these platforms, and this is something that I talk about, the word standing on business, great word. I love it. It's an incredible word, right? But I always say in our community, we're the least likely to stand on business. I talked about this the other day. And what I mean by standing on business is, I actually read an article the other day, the former the founder of Twitter and the guy that helped start Blue Sky, Jack Dorsey, said Blue Sky success comes from people mass exiting X, Twitter, to Blue Sky. And the reason it happens, a large portion of that community on Twitter, the white community, said, we're leaving, we're out of here, right? Now, to be clear, Blue Sky is not better than Twitter. Not better than Twitter, just isn't. It has the functionality of Twitter, the basic core functionality of Twitter, but it's not better than Twitter. But that mass migration of users to Blue Sky has now given them over 28 million users. So now the value of Blue Sky gives them the opportunity to raise capital to beat Twitter. So now that they have all these users, they can go say, we've got 28 million users. We're going to raise a $700 million valuation. We want to raise 100 million, 75 million at $100 million valuation. Now they have the money to build really, really aggressive and fast and catch Twitter. What we do is we don't stand on business. We stay on these platforms because the disrespect is what keeps us there. I always say that we're gluttons for punishment like that. The best marketing strategy in the world, I always say, is to disrespect the Black community. Because once you do that, we fight harder to stay in places where we're not wanted. And as opposed to just shifting and say, well, you know what, we're about to leave. We're about to leave Facebook, Instagram, X, Clubhouse, and go to Fanbase, go to Spill, whatever other Black platforms we can have. Give those people the opportunity, give those platforms the ability to raise the capital to beat these other platforms. That's what we need to be doing. And so until we get that in our heads, because a lot of times we have selective offense, which is something that I talk about. We choose what we want to be offended by. So somebody can be offended by something that fan base might stand for, or that they see on Fanbase, but you're not offended about Elon Musk, who's openly saying racist things on his platform, and you stay on that platform. I see a lot of celebrities, a lot of Black people that are really upset about what's going on in this country and demand change and are over it, but they actually stay on X. They stay on those platforms, and that's, they're choosing to not be offended by the platform that is really racist and really saying racist things, as opposed to moving. And I know it's uncomfortable. It's a huge inconvenience, right, to say I'm leaving this platform and going to start somewhere else. But if that's what we're going to do when it comes to standing on business, that's what we have to do. We have to exit these platforms and give a generation of new social media apps to fill the gap. Because these platforms, the guys that own these platforms, they want to be trillionaires. They want to be next to Donald Trump. They want to have massive amounts of power. They want to be Elon Musk. They want to be Mark Zuckerberg. They want to be those people, the super villains of the world, and let them be that, but then open the door for newer platforms to come in and take the place and give people the true opportunity to have free speech and scale and grow.
That is awesome.
You said that it's 10 times harder because you're Black. I'm curious to know. You see Elon Musk, you see the owner of Google, Jeff Bezos. Are you ever invited in any of these spaces? Have you ever spoke to any of these individuals or got any advice or anything from them?
No, I wouldn't. And it's a specific reason that I would love to share for your audience. Facebook has a market cap of about $1.5 trillion, right? So just think, I was just looking actually the other day, I mean, not even the day, the last night, on the list, I think there's 22 or 23 Black billionaires on the planet. And the richest of those Black billionaires might be worth 22 billion, right? When Elon Musk is worth, 300 billion. So when you get into the place of tech, the fastest way to grow wealth in this modern era is through technology. And so now that someone has created the infrastructure, no one wants anybody Black, me, and a bunch of Black people, which are the majority of our investors in Fanbase are Black. We have over 20,000 investors in Fanbase. So no one wants a bunch of Black people who own the infrastructure of a social media platform, who know that Black culture plus social media creates billion-dollar company and scales something up to be $100 billion, a $200 billion, a $300 billion company, and exit that company. Because now we're creating generational wealth on a scale that we've never seen. We're creating billionaires on the level that are close to a lot of the other billionaires. And that's the last thing they want, because that's real power. That's power to do the exact thing that exact thing that they do, to lobby for our version of politicians who we want to serve in our communities, our mayors, our governors, our city council members, right? It's the ability for us to put money into our communities where no one else has. It's the ability for us to fix things that are wrong in our community. It's the ability for us to create more businesses from that wealth and scale other businesses and create more infrastructure. And so that is the reason why I'm going to be the outcast of tech until I independently get my seat at the table, building my own table, actually, and doing that. I understand that. That's the quiet part out loud. If everybody uses, I do this thing called common sense math. And I talked to our community about this, common sense math. I said, I believe that everybody watching would agree that youth culture and Black culture are what makes social media the very valuable, popular thing that it is, right? So if you take youth and Black culture plus infrastructure that's owned by Black people and led by Black people, then where does the establishment exploit that community to the tune of billions and trillions of dollars? We see that happening in the NFL, the NBA, the music industry, and all the other social media platforms that exist. But now here comes this guy. He's built infrastructure. He's not trying to get famous on the app or make money on the app. He built the app. And that's a whole different conversation now. That's a very, very uncomfortable and scary thing for those individuals, because I could sit in a room with everybody that you mentioned and look them dead in the eye. I could look at Elon Musk. I could look at Mark Zuckerberg. I could look at Adam Mosseri. I could look at the CEO of TikTok and say, your apps don't work without Black people. And I dare you to say that they don't. And they know that. And so the moment that we realize, wait a minute, they don't, and we can move to an app and help scale that app and make it as big and as functional and as popular and successful as these apps, that's the end game. And that's a new era where Black people take control and ownership of a culture online that we're constantly exploited by. that part is extremely important.
That is awesome. Finally, for me, just to make it plain, Isaac, how can someone invest in Fanbase?
That's very, very simple. Again, you can go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. The minimum to invest is $399. It gets you 60 shares of stock at Fanbase at $665 a share. We are closing this round at 17 million. We probably raised about 4 million in the last 2 months. So the raise is moving rapidly. We're downhill now. We're almost at 10 million and we're closing at 17. And so as soon as that happens, we want you to understand that you got to go and invest as soon as possible, because once the raise closes, it's over. Nobody will be allowed to invest anymore. And again, remember, this is sitting on the cap table of a company just like Instagram when they were young, just like Facebook when they were starting out, just like TikTok when they were starting out. And these are long plays. These companies are not overnight successes. The majority of these apps had massive success early. I mean, the majority of these apps had success that took 10, 12 years. Like ByteDance was founded in 2012. It's 2025. Now they're the success that they are. Instagram was the exception, not the rule. So it takes a while to scale these companies up, and it takes massive amounts of capital. So that's why we're raising this round, because the goal is once we raise this 17, we want to scale the app and build the app to really be aggressive and catch these platforms. And then we want to raise 150 million at a $1.5 billion valuation. And this is absolutely doable with community effort, with people that invest. And so I always tell people, make that the full screen. Make that the full screen right now. Zoom in. Make that the entire screen real quick.
Make sure that
everybody goes to Fanbase. Goes to startengine.com and invest in how you get equity. So $399. There's only room for 20,022 people to invest in the minimum right now. So I tell everybody, take the time, go invest, get equity, and then tell people to come to the platform. That really gives us a real shot to catch and beat these big boys, which we are going to do. We're going to catch these platforms. We're going to be as successful as Instagram and TikTok because we have the technical know-how to build the company. And then the capital is what gives us the ability to catch them and build aggressively.
David Youngblood says this is inspiring, and Empress Lorraine says you have to change to allow for the Caribbean island phone numbers to be accepted. Some of my people want to join, but cannot add their numbers.
I'll look into that. Absolutely. Caribbean phone numbers or something I'll send that into my team. We are in 190 countries and territories, I think, but we have people in the Caribbean that use it. So I don't, I know there are people that in the Caribbean that are like St. Croix, Bahama, Jamaica, Virgin Islands, that people that use the platform. So I don't know, but let me look into that and see. Or they can also, if someone does have the app that they know from the Caribbean or whatever, they can shake their phone and then it'll send up a prompt to tell us like, hey, these numbers aren't working, for us to be able to do that. But one of the things that we're actually about to move to in a minute with regard to phone numbers, we're about to move to SSO. So we're about to move to single sign-on. So that means you just sign in through Google or sign in through Apple really, really quick, and you won't even need the phone number anymore. But that's coming pretty soon as well. So.
Wow.
Okay.
Awesome.
This has been a great conversation. Before we let you go, did you have a chance to watch the All-Star game yesterday?
Yeah, I watched it. It was
What
okay.
did you think? We want the $1 million question. What did you think of the new format?
I mean, I didn't like it. I think the NBA I think they're going through a transition of really trying to find the next generation of stars that can hold and support the league. And I think that that is going to be their mission, to really find the next generation of superstar talent that make people watch the league. I like the old fashioned, just regular, NBA, but I understand I'm not a 15 or 16-year-old. Now, if you ask a 15 or 16-year-old, they might have loved it. And we got to think about that. The same way on social media that I talk about all the time is like, you also got to understand these corporations have to be building for future fans. So things will not always be the same. So the changes that are made in particular platforms or apps or formats you may not like, but the data might show that, yeah, but everybody under the age of 25 loves it. And that's who we have to cater to, because they're going to be fans for the next 40 years, 50 years. So that is the point. And I think sometimes you got to realize that as well. So I don't know. It just depends. I mean, they'll have data on this, whether they like it or not. It's going to be a specific shift, but for sure, I think the NBA, and I think the NBA also with the All-Star game, I think it needs more participation from its stars in some of these platforms, some of these things. I remember like the big dogs used to go at it in the dunk contest. The stars of the league used to go at it in the 3-point contest, used to go at it in the dunk contest. And we really don't see that anymore, where the big stars of the league really, we don't see Ja Morant, and we don't see, Zion Williamson, and we don't see Anthony Edwards entering the dunk contest. That is what you need to be looking for. That's what gets people to tune in. It's the star power of that. So hopefully, those guys will step up and really, be part of the weekend in that fashion, just not the game, but the other events surrounding the game.
Okay.
Nice. Well, hey, we had our All-Star game commentary before we went on. I told you I'm just not. I guess I'm a little bit like you, Isaac. I'm just not enthused anymore. They have to do something to bring back some of the old ways. Like you said, the dunk contest you had. Man, you remember Dominique Wilkins and guys like that, Michael Jordan, of course, David Thompson, real competitors. But now it is what it is. But
I want to give. Let me tell you something though. Mac McClung, bring him back again, because he's dope. I'm sorry, like I don't care what color he is. He's doing things. He's doing things that I've never seen before. He was doing dunks that I've never seen, and the professionalism to pull it off the first time you try it. That's what I love. Like he don't need 5 chances to do the dunk. He's just like, I got my dunk.
Well, that's it, right?
All 4 of his dunks he did on the first attempt.
Yeah.
That was crazy. It's like that's what you're looking for. So yeah, I mean we need more Mac McClungs in the game, like for real, when it comes to the dunk contest, because he's won 3 in a row. I was like, bring him back next year.
Right. Well, Shannon Sharp said he's on his Mount Rushmore of dunkers. So
for sure, 100%. I agree.
There you go. Look, we didn't expect to talk sports with Isaac Hayes III, but it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. I know Niele likes to talk all types of topics, so be glad she picked sports this time.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning, and definitely share the information, press releases, all updates with Black Press USA so that we can help amplify Fanbase.
Yeah, actually next Monday, this coming up Monday at 1 p.m., I'm having a live webinar conversation with Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary. And it's going to be an interesting conversation because Kevin is in the process of trying to acquire TikTok. So this is a conversation that we would definitely have about social media and talk about equity crowdfunding of what I've been doing over at Fanbase. He's an investor in Start Engine, so he's one of the people. That's a platform that we use to raise capital. But it'll be an interesting conversation to have to talk to him about the future of what we call the social economy. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, I've been saying that as far as like, it's not social media, it's not the creator economy, it's the social economy where you combine television, social media, monetization, community, and it becomes this living, breathing thing that scales, that the way that people consume content is a lot more different than what we do. People just don't sit in front of a television and watch content anymore. While they're watching that content, they're sharing that content with their friends. They're having captions. They're commenting. It's a lot more immersive than it's just the one-on-one, like sitting in front of a TV. And so that's the future of being entertained. It's kind of like multitasking. The senses have to be stimulated rather than just looking and listening. There's got to be other things involved now. And so that's the future of what media is going to be about. It's a lot more immersive and involved. So I think we're going to have that conversation.
All right, you guys, and for more information about that, just follow Isaac Hayes on Fanbase or all social platforms.
Yes, indeed.
There you go. All right.
All
Well,
right. Thank
Isaac,
you so much.
thanks so much for joining. Let it be known. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Isaac Hayes the third. Really
Great
good stuff.
conversation.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff.
And I
Uh,
think that's a hopeful. We talked about so much doom and gloom with this Trump administration, but there are glimmers of light. And that's one of them because that's still moving forward, right? As we see ourselves moving backwards, fan base is something to move us forward. Might be growing pains to kind of switch over, but if we're trying to build Black equity, then there's a prime example of that.
and as you said at the top, it's for us, by us, and at this point, I mean, we've been talking about the Target situation, Walmart, this DE&I. Well, here's an opportunity to keep, as he said, stand on business.
Right.
Here's that opportunity now, and I tell you what, I am an investor, so there you
Oh,
have
good. I'm gonna have to become an investor. I remember I signed up for it maybe early last year,
it.
but then I never went back. But the
Yeah.
more the days go by, it's like, how do we FUBU for us by us?
Yeah,
That's
and
definitely the way to
listen,
do it.
it could very well, pay off in the long run.
Mhm.
Greer says she's been an investor for over a year. It could very well pay off in the long run as he continues to build this thing out. And hey, um, it's only what 3.99. I think is the original
Investment cost,
investment.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so at six something a share, hey. I remember Neil some years ago, a friend of mine was wanted me to join her in investing in Walmart. And at the time, I think Walmart may have been $21 a share, $19 a share, something of that. Of course, it went up to about peaked at about $850 a share.
Mm.
I never did invest, but you look back and when the fan base opportunity came, I said, well, I don't want this to be another Walmart situation.
Okay, look, you just inspired me even more. Like, don't think about it no more, Neil.
Exactly. Because look,
Do
I mean,
that.
look, not to be in anybody's bank accounts or wallets or whatever, but 3.99 or six something a share does not sound like a whole lot to me. So, the return could be something that you could really use later. So,
Okay, I'm so. The chat is still talking about the All-Star game.
is that right? Well, I mean, look, the All-Star game, I think that if they could improve it, if they can get more participation, as Isaac said, with their stars,
Mhm.
that certainly will help.
Yeah. Trixie Drea says a lot of people said it got whacked because LeBron never wanted to do the dunk contest. He always wanted to be a spectator. Well, that happened last night. And we talked about that earlier before the show.
Hmm.
I'm a LeBron James fan because I love his business savviness. But seeing him last night, it made me feel like, does he think he's bigger than the game? You know?
And that's a problem.
That yeah, that's a problem because he came out in his clothes, said he had an ankle foot injury. He sat there for a while, but then he left and he never came back. So it's like, are you a part of the team or are you not part of the team? Are you bigger
Right.
than the team? It just it doesn't look well. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a huge fan, but I'm starting to believe that because I'm sure if little Bronny was playing, he would have been on that court suited and booted. I'm just saying.
Little Bronny. I like that. Well, the NBA has look, I said it before the show too. If they're gonna they've changed the format or you got four teams or whatever, then be more like the NHL. I mean, make it real. The NHL has where they have countries. So for their All-Star break, it's USA, Canada, it's I think Russia, or however Eastern Europe or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And you have all these different countries competing, and it's just high level competition. They are playing for real. The other day, the US versus Canada, um, the they booed, of course, it was in Montreal, so they booed the American national anthem. And so the first thing that happened as the puck dropped is they dropped their gloves, both sides, and they started swinging on each other. It's like this is real stuff. Yes.
You know, we like a little WWE, a little action going on here.
They dropped the gloves immediately, and they was going at it. But then the game was even more exciting. You had a 2-1 score. I mean, they're going back and forth, flying up and down the ice. I think those are some of the best athletes there is anyway. I mean, put on those skates and go up and down that ice anyway. It's amazing. But nonetheless,
That
Mike
would
B
be
says,
the day.
yeah. The one area that the NBA got it right is doubling down on DE and I. They have not backed down from MAGA, unlike the NFL, right? And other you can expect to see, I expect it anyway, Major League Baseball. Although Major League Baseball still, as of right now, they are doing their spring training. They are observing Black History Month, and they have said nothing's gonna happen with Jackie Robinson Day come April. They've been doing a great job with that every year. So we will see. And we will see also about their other diversity events, including they have like Puerto Rican Day at the stadium. They have all these different days, whatever, at various ballparks around the country. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just can't see the NBA or the NFL getting rid of DEI when probably 85 to 90% of all of its players are African Americans. That's
Yeah.
just insane.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick, we gotta run. But Black History moments, Neil.
I'll let you start it off.
All right. So on this day in 1973, the Navy frigate USS Jesse L. Brown was commissioned. The ship was named for Jesse L. Brown, who was the first African American naval aviator to see combat in Korea.
Okay, I'm gonna do birthdays. So how about we jump into some birthdays?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so today in 1963, speaking of the NBA, Michael Jordan was born.
Oh gosh. The so-called GOAT. Although I have an issue with him being called the GOAT, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, come on. He's the greatest of all time, they say, was a six-time NBA champion and finals MVP, five-time NBA MVP, 14-time NBA All-Star, three-time NBA All-Star MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Rookie of the Year. So, I
Mm.
mean, the stats don't lie.
The stats don't lie. Okay. Well, real
Okay.
quick, Tanya, 75, the 3.99 for Fanbase is not for just one share. It comes out to 6,000 change a share. So if you do the math, you'll see how many shares that is. But again, on this date in 1942, Neil, Huey Newton, one of the founders of the Black Panthers, was born. He was an illiterate high school graduate who taught himself to read. He attended Merritt College and San Francisco School of Law and went on to form the Black Panthers in 1966.
I love it. I love it. And on this day in 1936, legendary NFL running back Jim Brown was born.
All right. And so my last thing is on this date in 1982, Thelonious Monk died.
Now, give us a little background.
Oh,
Give us some Black history on Mr. Monk.
well, I mean, come on. We know the greatness of the gosh, now I can't even say his name, but Thelonious Monk, American pianist and composer. And I'm so glad when you look up like his history, they don't, they say American, right? Because with all that's going on today, this black man represented the greatness of America.
I love
So
it. Okay.
so I like that. He was recognized as the most inventive pianist of any musical genre. So he had this original sound that so many tries to imitate but never can fully duplicate, Neil.
Okay, so now see, I learned something about my Black history that I didn't know before. I've never heard of this man before.
Oh, come on. You didn't hear Thelonious Monk?
Never heard of him before, so I love it.
Oh, wow.
I
There was
know.
a documentary in 1988, a film, The Thelonious Monk, Straight No Chaser, in which Samuel Wright narrates about how Thelonious Monk started playing without any formal training, and then he took lessons in music theory at the Juilliard School.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. All right, I got one for you. Last but
Oh,
not
wait, Greer. Wait. Greer says that Thelonious was her husband in her last life.
okay. All right, I see. He's giving me a little Marvin Gaye vibe. Okay,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I can see that. I can see that. Little sexual healing going on, huh, Greer?
Uh-oh. Look out.
But
What's going on?
last but not least, in 1891, the butter churn was invented by a gifted Black inventor named A.C. Richardson. And it was patent number 466,470 on this day. So we have, as you go churn your butter today, we have a Black person by the name of A.C. Richardson to thank for that.
There you go. So when you're churning your butter, thank you. Well, Jelly Roll Morton, for the Seventh Ward in New Orleans, he created a whole new style of music on piano. It's called ragtime. Yes, Jelly Roll Morton. Thank you for that, Orangey. And thank you all for watching Let It Be Known. Neil, we'll see you tomorrow, right?
See you tomorrow, guys.